of clinical research with a solid experience of 8 years. He is experienced in pharmacogens like Zenzyme, Sanofi, and Icon PLC, and he is certified in ITIL version 3.0. He has a strong experience in support of wide range of pharma applications built under various technologies. With these few words, I am handing over the section to Mr. Balaji Lakshmipati to start our section. Please, sir.
Hi everyone. Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir.
Thank you, thank you. So without making more time, I will get into the presentation. So first, I would like to thank the SRM management for inviting me over this webinar. So let me share my screen first. Okay, fine. So today we are going to see this robotic process automation. So myself, Balaji Lakshmipati. So basically, I'm a mechanical engineer. So after completing my engineering, I joined in the Cognizant. So there I, trained as a .NET specialist, and after working for the 5 years under the Sanofi and Genzyme, leading pharma companies, then I moved to Icon PLC, the company which I am working now. So currently, I am working with the RPA operations within Icon PLC. So before getting into the presentation, I have few things for you guys. Uh, so this presentation is ideal for laptops and monitoring screens. In case if you are viewing through mobile phone or a tablet, you may find little difficult to go through the presentation slides and the details within the slides. And I recommend everyone to be on mute throughout the meeting, for the pleasant experience. Don't want to disturb someone who is listening to the meeting. And then in case if you guys have any questions during the meeting or after the meeting, please do post the questions in the chat box, so I will go through the chat questions and I will answer you all. Okay, so first we'll start with the agenda. So as I said, I come from a company called Icon PLC, and in this meeting I'm not going to share anything related to the Icon PLC, what we are doing there, what type of work we are doing there, but I will share a glimpse of how the RPA work with this type of clinical research industries. Okay, so you know me. And then I'm sorry, I'm being people incoming notification, no problem. So now we have faculty, students, and research scholars who have joined this meeting. So this particular meeting, like what would be our agenda, like what would be the takeaway, like I don't want to keep this meeting kind of a big lecture or something that make you people sleep, but at the end of the meeting, what would be the takeaway? In the beginning of the meeting, if I tell that, so you guys would be clear whether this is actually needed or not needed. So currently I'm going to talk about the post-COVID world. So this particular thing, post-COVID world, you must have heard a lot about this particular term, in the colleges as well as in the news everywhere. But how the post-COVID world would be? It's been almost 100 days since I stepped out of my home. So I've been working from home staying with my kid and my wife, and these three are the faces I have been seeing all the day, and we have not seen anyone. Even for our food and groceries, we are ordering it to Swiggy and Zomato. They deliver it without any contact outside the home. That's how we live. So this post COVID world is ultimately by a social distancing life, right? So a human and another human is now separated by a social distancing. This social distancing is only bridged by the technology, what we call robots here. The robo may be anything. So here there are wide range of things that's bridging every human being today, from our daily needs to everything. Without a mobile phone or without a laptop or technology, it is impossible to live in today's world. That's what myself and my friends were talking. The technology, the internet has become another essential, like a another is like a electric current or a water. Like we need this because to survive for the rest of this post covid the covid pandemic lockdown, we need this particular internet, to get all our things and everything. So that's one important thing we can see in the post covid world. So how this particular thing is going to create an opportunity, or what can we say, like a job opportunity or a research opportunity, how is this particular thing is going to say. So that's why we are going to see in the RPA. The RPA, I just want to be very specific. I'm not going to talk about everything, like to be very broader and nothing. I'm just going to be very narrowed, and our topic is very much restricted to the RPA, and we'll be seeing what is RPA and how this RPA has been growing, and what are the industries that's been with RPA, and what are the opportunities that's listed within RPA. Since I'm an RPA analyst from a relevant industry, I'm going to share this only particular thing with you guys without any other extra talks. So I hope it would be useful to you guys. And then I will share with some of the RPA tools, like so that you guys can have an idea about like what you have to do with this RPA, and what are the industries that's actually the RPA is using. I will also share that, and I will at last share about the RPA in healthcare and clinical research, the field I'm working in. Okay, so we'll start with a simple thing like an organization. So let me minimize this. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is a simple organization. Like whatever may be an organization, this is an organizational chart. You can see like there will be a head, that may be a CEO or whoever it may be. So below him there will be a team like finance team, IT team, HR team, the technical team. The finance team, there will be a payroll team and admin team. So whatever may be an organization or industry, you can see this. You can see this team or group working within. So why I am bringing this here is like to understand the broader perspective of automation. We should understand first what the organization do. Let us take this as a institution like a college. For a college, there will be definitely have a head. Under the head, there will be another separate department, like where the students and other things are going on. But for these students or this educational institution, there will be a set of things which needs to drive the organization. These are all few important things which is available on across all the industries, like payroll, where it will be paying the salaries and purchases for employees, employees and the teachers working in them, and the accounts, which is maintaining the accounts and the banking things related to the people who are working with that. And the tax thing, the people would be earning salaries, and the tax would be procured for those people. So those tax management, there will be a team working for that. And the procurement in a college, if they are buying new things, whether it is laboratory things, other things, there will be a procurement team who would be doing that. And then if you go to the admin and facilities, you will be having a housekeeping and security who would be cleaning things and take care of the college environment, everything. And we'll be having a HR team. The HR team would be doing all the recruitment thing, the training thing, and the talent acquisition, and then academic thing, the training the people who have been recruited. It's not just for an in IT industry or something, even for a college or something. The people, they recruit the teachers and the professors, and they train them to the environment of the college. What are the stuff that's going in and around in the college, what are they needs to be trained within the college. And then the marketing team just advertise and the public relation things with the outside thing to grab the attention of the outside. Okay, and then the sales and the other team, and the IT team, an important team. The IT team works with all the IT operations within the that particular industry, if it is a college or hospital. So within the IT team, we are having the development team, the testing team, and the network and security team. So a lot of these teams. So for an organization, we have this structure. So we have this type of structure. So for this is not restricted to any organization. Any organization you go, you can find this type of structure. Either it is a banking or an insurance or a healthcare or manufacturing and logistics or a telecom or energy or electronics. Any organization or industry, you can find this organization chart. So if you see, I have mentioned some of the leading things which this particular RPA is being used here. So how the particular automation or RPA is being used here is like, you need to understand one thing, like the operations of every team within this. Like in the payroll, what they do, like they give salary to the employees who are working on that. So what do they need? They need a bank account and the details of the person, what they are working. So if there are hundreds and thousands of people working within an organization, and by manual entering and manual processing, there may be a chance of a lot of human errors. You may have worked overtime on a particular month, and the payroll team wouldn't have considered that, and your overtime salary would have been detected. That wouldn't be calculated. So like that, the payroll team would be doing some complicated and a big operation. Like the HR works on recruitment as well as training. They recruit people and they train them for working in that particular company. So they will be having list of operations what they would be doing. So everywhere, this whole organization chat, everywhere, that would be one certain thing is a data. So everywhere this data will be available on across all the teams. So if you see, if we take out the data for all this, then we will be able to know what this organization does. So to be proper introduction of this particular presentation, data is the god. Right now the data is the god, the data is the future. So with the data, you will be able to do anything. So whether it is a finance or a CEO or a CFO or a CTO or a principal, whoever it may be, with the data you would be able to ease everyone's job. So we are going to see about the data first. So in all the organizations there will be data. Like guys, I'm going to be in a very layman's level. I'm not going to take any understanding like how much you know or how much you don't know, but I'm starting from the scratch. So what is a data first here? So if you take an organization, like let's take the college itself. In the college you have varieties of data, like a student data, the faculty data, and the data of laboratories and the equipments available within the college, the data of the staff and non-technical staff working within the college. These are all, everything are the data. So there are two types of data available in all the organizations: structured and unstructured data. The structured data are something that is available in the computer systems or a Excel sheet or something. The good thing about the structured data is like you can easily work with that. For an example, if you want to give something, let's assume you want to give laptop to third year people, it would be very easy, take out the data of third year people and give it to them. So the structured data is very good, and it's a processing data, and you can easily work with the data. But this unstructured data, these are the dark data, hidden on all the industries. This unstructured data is the key today, because the RPA works on this unstructured data. What we does is, like, we try to structure this data, we analyze this data, and we collect the data from different sources. We analyze this data, put this data in a structure, and try to work with it. Because in order to make some work easy, like, the automation is something like an evolution. For an example, earlier we were doing things on paper. Right now, people started doing things on computer, and slowly it started evolving. We moved from Excel sheet to the Microsoft Access, and then we moved to the SQL, Oracle, and now we are sitting in the cloud. So the evolution is the automation. So when new things comes, the things are getting evolved, and it's being automated. Everything, either it is a TV or a car or a bike, everything is getting automated. So the automation is not a new word, but it's like, you are evolving to the next level of automation. That's it. So here the data is a key for the automation. So when you have the handy data, then you will be able to automate things in a much easier way. Like, when you have a simpler work and a simpler data solution, then you will be able to give them a work in a much easy and less time. So we saw about the data. So I just want to say, like, what does automation mean to industry in the post-COVID era? Like, we discussed about the post-COVID era. In the post-COVID era, like, we said, like, there will be a robo or a technology or an app between a man and a man. So the concept is less man and more machine, which mean wherever the manual jobs of man was there, that would be taken away by the machines. Let's assume an airport. An airport earlier used to do a check-in. Now the check-in has been replaced by a web check-in. You need not to go and do a check-in physically. By logging into a computer, the check-in is being replaced. Like that, the man's intervention in all places have been reduced, and the machine means not a physical thing, maybe a virtual machine, a software, an app, is replacing man at the most of the place. I have to remind you guys on important thing: man's brain or man's work cannot be replaced by any robo or any AI stuff. But if you are a lazy guy, if you are if you are very lazy enough to do work, and if you are keep on doing something which is repeated and very 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 slow, you will be replaced by anything. Not even a machine or anything can replace you. Even a dog can replace you. So this particular thing is a bridge between a business and IT. Like, specifically when talking within the IT and the industry concept, this particular RPA is a bridge between the business and IT. Earlier, the bridge between the business and IT were the technical people and people who were doing the task. Now, this being replaced by the RPA. And then this is the future. We no more need thousands of employees or lakhs of people working around the globe everywhere for simple and simple outsourcing and other tasks. Virtual machine, a robo can perform the task what you were doing earlier. So I would start this with an evolution of RPA. So in the evolution of RPA, this is a very simple thing. This particular thing is based on data. So, we have already crossed a path called business process management. Hope you guys know about the Mac Excel sheets and the notepads. So writing small macros where, by running that on a task scheduler that would do some kind of automations within the Windows systems or Linux systems. It will restart your machines. It will, it will perform some task within your machines. Now we have moved to another state called robotic process automation. This robotic process automation will be having a very simple infrastructure. This is like a task scheduler. What happens is like there will be a programming system which develops a program, and this program is deployed in a kind of scheduler. And when you run this scheduler, this programs runs on a scheduled basis. This is what a robotic process automation does. Nothing else. This is very simple. Nothing else. This is what needed in the industry today, because these particular activities are being performed by humans for hundreds of hours, thousands of hours. So much of money has been spent on that. So much of time have been spent on that. By using this robotic process automation, we are saving so much of time and amount here. We'll see the rest of the robotic process automation in the next slides. And I would move to the further, evolution in the RPA, the cognitive RPA. Hope you guys used the, the personal assistants in your mobile phone and homes, like the Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, and everything. So this is the cognitive RPA. This also works with structured data information only. Like that, it has some structured voice algorithm programmed to this personal assistants. When you ask certain questions, it processes those questions with the keywords and gives you back the answers. And this has been taken to a continued conversations where you can get the output. That's how the house automations work today. Like, today people, automate their houses with so much of things. Like they switch on the ACs, they switch on the coffee machines, they switch on the TVs, they switch on lights, the whole, house being controlled with this cognitive RPA only. And the machine-based process management. This required the video analysis and examinations. This is completely advanced things that's being used in the researchers and main important futuristic things. I don't see it's being used widely in many places, but still it's been on the evolution. But I can definitely ensure this would be in future, like the machine-based process management and the intelligent organization. Like the big organizations like Facebook, Google have been actively working on that. By with a voice command, a robo can call another person and book an appointment, and robo can even converse with another person through a conversation or a meeting and make decisions. This is the future. So these things, if you see it in the evolution, this starts with a structured data to an unstructured data. That's the key. When we have a Excel sheet of data, it is very easy. It is very easy to simply feed the data and get the output. But if you have an unstructured data, let's assume I'm an illiterate guy and I'm using an Alexa and I'm getting into it and asking for a help. And I'm asking an help in my local language in a broken words without anything so clear. But the particular AI tool is able to give you the output. That's the that's the success of that unstructured data being processed in this AI world. So this is simply an interaction between a man and machine. So this is how the evolution of RPA goes. And going to the next slide, and I think someone is scribbling over my slides. So I will go with the first explain what is RPA. So to explain clearly the RPA, this is simply an assembly line robo. Nothing more than that. This robotic process automation is nothing but process automations. So we identify the list of process being worked in several industries, and then these particular industries automate this process. This is what we call this as a process automation. When we are using a robot to automate this process, this is called robotic process automation. When I say a robo, it is nothing physical, no mechanical thing sitting in front of my PC and operating my keyboard and mouse. This is a virtual thing. There is something, a kind of software available within your computer at a scheduled time that will get activated. it operates everything with its own credentials. It will have its own username and password. It will log into your system. It will open the files. It will open the applications. It will work this, do this, then that, and it performs the task that been assigned to it and complete it and send out the report. This is what a RPA means. So why do we use this? Are we using this to do all the tasks? No, we cannot do this. We cannot use this to do all the tasks. This can be used only to automate the mundane and repeatable task. What are these mundane and repeatable tasks? If you see, I have listed down a list of tasks that we do it in a repeatable manner every day, like opening an email and attachment. Let's see, if I'm working for HR and I used to receive thousands of email from the employees across the my organization regarding different requests, maybe a food request, maybe a training request, a different thing. So what I do is, like, I create a robo for that, and that robo would analyze each and every email's subject. Maybe if the robo subject, the email subject is like for a particular training query, with that particular training query, it filters all the emails for the training query and put it in a different email box. Maybe it would put it in a Excel sheet for a easier report taking. Like that, for a simple task, it will do that. Let's assume for a college, they used to take an attendance. So what does the robot do is, like, maybe you swiping your card to the the smart card swiping. It would take all the data and send the report every day to the particular person who is in charge for that. That's some mundane and repeatable task. When we are taking an attendance, it would take 15 to 20 minutes every day. That in 15 and 20 minutes is saved, and the cost is saved, and the time is saved, and an extra labor who is going to do that is saved. And moving the files and folders, this is one repeatable task that we have been doing within the organization, like this copy and paste task. Then the form completion. The form completion is something you does feel like, how many of you guys book the ticket in uh, IRCTC, some sites like that. Now IRCTC, I always wonder, like, if I have something like a robo who can fill these forms and fill the data for me, like typing the credit card number and my details, everything in a moments of second, that would be easy for me. That being performed by a robo. And reading the database, this robot doesn't not only do that task from the UI end. The UI end means the the computer's desktop end. It will work on the back end. It reads the database. Excuse me, guys. Give me a moment. It reads the database. It reads emails. It reads your system logs, even viewer logs, everything. And it even follow the fuzzy rules, like you have to give a algorithm workflow where it has to start with this, reading this, and move files over this. So these type of mundane tasks and other things are being performed by this RPA. So this is what RPA, and this is what RPA does, nothing else. So moving to the next topic, like why industries need RPA. The main reason why industry needs RPA is because, like, the industry has so much of labors, and they must be spending so much of amount on different type of operations. So if you see in different industries, they spend so much of amount on recruiting people, training them, and asking them to do work. The one good thing with the robots is, like, they will never call for a sick leave. They never need a leave on a on a festival, or they will never need a another holiday or something like a appraisal or a something like a break or something. They works round the clock. They works round the clock. They don't ask for any breaks. The only thing the robots take breaks is the maintenance and license renewal. Other than that, robots never take break. And it reduces the institutional memory loss, which means the dependency. For an example, let's assume I am working for my company for the past 10 years. It means there are so much of things dependent on me. If my work is being replaced by a robo, which means if I am in a leave for a month, or if I am died, there is no loss for the company. The robo can take up my work and perform that. So there is no institutional memory loss on my absence. and it completely eradicates the human errors. There is no human errors. It is going to do what it is, designed to do. And another thing, the disadvantage is like there is another robotic error which a human can correct, but a robot cannot correct. If you are making a robot to work in a particular workflow, it will always work in that particular workflow only. In case if there is a issue in between, it will not check the issue and all. It will keep on doing the same thing. It means like if it is doing something wrong, it keep on doing wrong. So that's also an disadvantage of being a robo. And it's 100% complaint. The complaint is like uh, there are data policies and regulations on all the industries. You cannot do everything by what you wish. It's like there are some regulations and policies which a company has to follow. And you see the RPA robos follows all these policies. You cannot give any access to RPA robo and make it work. And the RPA robo has to abide few of the regulations within the land regulations, the city regulations, the country regulations, even the particular industry regulations. So these are all being compliant by the robos. And the guaranteed delivery, like the robo will not come and say yesterday I felt sick, or yesterday I went out, so I cannot complete the work. If the robo is available, it will complete the work on the given time and it give it to that. And if you see, these are the industries that are using the RPA right now, like the banking industry, the insurance, the healthcare, the manufacturing, the telecom, and energy in the utilities. So I'm throwing the light like what are the industries that needs RPA as of now. And within these industries, what are the I'm sorry what are the places that the RPA is being used is the finance and accounting, the procurement, the human resources, contact center, and industry specific process. These are the areas where the RPA is being used. Going to the when an industry is planning to implement RPA, there are so much of challenges for that particular industry. You can see first the vision and strategy. Without understanding what are they going to do with the RPA, they cannot they cannot implement RPA within their industry. So they have to understand a roadmap for the RPA in their industry. Like first they have to understand what are the operations being performed within the industry, and they will create a scorecard, like what are the tasks that's been useful for automation. Not all the tasks are being worth for automation. If you are doing some task for a minute in a year, that is not worth for automation. If you are doing a task every day for 2 hours and it's a mundane task, if you are keep on repeating, that's a task that's worthy for automation. So this kind of roadmap has been set, and list of scorecard has to be taken out to understand what are the areas that needs to be automated within the industry. And then the organization should start looking out for the talent. So the RPA involves a COE team, the Center of Excellence team, and the excellent team needs to be formed in order to push the automations in that particular organization. That needs IT security and compliance, which they have to understand what are the security restrictions and other things within this particular organization they have to comply, and what type of employees they need for RPA. Either they are very much experienced, or they need a novice employees, what type of managers they need, what type of business analysts they need. There are wide variety of business opportunities and job opportunities within this RPA, which I will discuss in the next slides. And then the resourcing, then they will they will recruit all these people who are not available in this particular RPA thing for their organization, and they'll start. And the important thing is the selection of tools. So they identified the person who is going to work on that particular automation. They have even identified the thing that needs to be automated. And the tool selection is very, very, very important. There are so much of tools available in the market, but what tool would be ideal for automating there? Because the tools ranges from even a $1 to $1 million. So what price of tool, or what complication of, like if a startup is there, they would be using a very simple tool of less cost. If that's a very big company, they would be using a very big tool that's that comes with a big cost and license, and with the different technologies and other things aligned with that. So tool selection is an important thing. Even as a if we are going to be in the RPA RPA industry, if you want to survive in the RPA industry, we need to understand what type of tool we learn, or what type of tool we are going to work, so that we'll get aligned with that particular technology. And the implementation, after selecting everything, this implementation would be a key thing, like where the development of the robo, then the deployment of the particular robo in the production environment, and the testing, the maintenance and the monitoring, and at last the total infrastructure has been set up. That's how this robo, this RPA has been implemented in all the organization. So these are the simple things. I will move to the next slides on COE. COE is like a center of excellence. What are the people are working in a particular RPA COE in every industry? If you see, there are two important peoples, like sponsor and the COE director. This sponsor is a person who wants to automate something within his department. Let's assume if I am a HR director, I maybe act as a sponsor or ambassador for my HR operations, and I identify some solutions within my operations thing, and I reach out to the COE director to automate the stuff. So under the COE director, a big team would be working. The first one is a business analyst. So this RPA business analyst, what he does is like, he works closely with the business SME, the subject matter expert. So what he does is like, the person from the sponsor side knows what is the thing that needs to be automated. So he explains that thing to the business analyst. So what business analyst does is like, he will observe everything, write down as a procedure document. He will simply go to the developer and he will give the document. This is what the business expect, and you have to develop these things. Once the developer analyze these things, he will reach out to the infrastructure team and ask the solution architect to build the necessary things that's needed for this automation. After the automation, they will test this particular development thing in the test environment, whether this stuff works or not. The SME who gives the input to the business analyst will evaluate the the working prototype with the business analyst. Once that gets completed, that will be deployed in the production, and the support team who has bot support and monitoring would work on supporting the particular running operation. Like if you see, like the business SME would be doing this same task for 9 hours or 10 hours, the bot would be able to complete the same task in a moment of minutes or seconds. So this is the full team or organization that works for RPA. So assume like when you are when you are planning to work somewhere in this particular thing, then you need to prepare yourself for that. If you want to be a developer, then you need to get trained yourself as a RPA developer. If you want to be a business analyst who can work between the business and the developer to analyze these things, you need to be a business analyst. Yeah, the business analyst is not the same business analyst who are working for other IT can also work for the RPA. RPA business analysts are completely different. RPA business analysts have the knowledge of RPA, and they will be working closely with the business to understand these things. So these are the job opportunities and other things that lies within the RPA. And moving to the next time, like the automation COE roadmap, like how the automation COE team being laid in the every organization. So as I said in the the one previous slide about the challenges and other things, you can see like how a team has been created and the tool has been selected. After selecting the tool, how the recruitment has been done for those particular tools. For an example, let's take my organization is using a Blue Prism RPA software. So what they do is like, they will go on to go on to fish the people who are good at Blue Prism business analyst, Blue Prism developer, Blue Prism support analyst, and a Blue Prism people manager. So they will fish those people, they will put them on place, they will give them the input, and these people will be working on running the initial COE, and after building the initial COE, the total automation will be come into the existence. That's how a complete automation COE comes to the existence. Okay. And moving to that, so you would be wondering, like, so you know in the these slides I have explained you guys about what is RPA, how does RPA works, and what are the job opportunities within the RPA, and what are the people working within RPA, and what are the RPA tools if you really need to learn, so that you will be you will be placing yourself in certain industrial leaders. So if you see the top corner of the screen, these are the important leaders of RPA that's been available in the market right now. So you see, like, this blue dot means leaders, and star means star performers. And you can see the UiPath, the Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere. Those are the leaders. So I am a trained certified developer and analyst on UiPath. Along with that, I've been also been training on Blue Prism. So right now, because of this COVID thing and different other things, the people are trying to replace a lot of man-made operations through RPA. They are the big organizations, so big organizations like top 10 organization, maybe a Forbes organization, or the organizations that's been in the top 100 list everywhere in all the countries. They are using these top tools like UiPath, Blue Prism, and Automation Anywhere. So you have to land yourself on these tools. These the tools with low aspirants like Datamatics and Handworks. I don't want to promote or advertise for any other companies, but you being students or faculty, so that I just want to give you a idea about what are the tools that you need to, because certain tools available for free of cost or free of training, but after you learn the tools, you may not really have any output or job opportunity outside. But landing upon a right tool or spending time and money on right tool would you give you a good opportunity outside. So that's the reason why I'm showing you this matrix. So this is a talent hotspot. Talent hotspot looks like throughout the world, India India is in the top for this is a world data, the data of 2 years back, but India was in the top. That's giving a talent hotspot for the RPA related jobs. So RPA is really a future, and RPA related stuff like a data science or Python, whatever it may be, that's really a future. Learning those stuff or getting an expertise on these fields will definitely keep you on place. To be very frank about myself, I'm very concerned about the money and about the job security or my future on the particular job what I'm working on. I don't want to do big stuff, but I want to stick to a job to save my family and certain things. So I want to get into a safe thing where I can drive myself into a place where I can be safe for next 30 to 40 years with my kids and stuff. So like a country in India, this is the wide thought. So you see, the people are going widely to the RPA, and since this is a future, without any doubt, you can stick to this job. It's been an evolution from IT industry to this place. The IT industry, like earlier it was like when I joined, it was the .NET, Java, mainframe, those type of stuff that's been running in and around. But right now, this is the this is the trend. Like people try to stick more to the robotics and automation, this kind of stuff. So you need to understand the data, like what you need to move and how this is throughout the world. So this is a simple form automation. I just wanted to show you guys like how it would be like when a robo is actually working on a computer without human intervention. Let's assume like I know how long will it take to type those stuff. Yes, this can be performed even by a Java snippet or a kind of JavaScript tools. But this robo thing is like after filling up everything, it will also click a button and save this and complete a complete flowchart. See, a human would take at least 30 minutes to fill this type of complicated forms, but a robo wouldn't even take a minute to complete this form. So this is a type of fast, this is the type of speed and the industry needs every day for them. So this is ultimately pushing so much of people outside their outside their organization. But one thing is like I liked one important thing even in my organization. Like every time like when new thing comes in, the people start shouting, no, this is going to make people people lazy or something like that. Even in the intrusion of mobile phones or even smartwatches, people started saying like it's a laziness. Why do you need a mobile phone? Why do you need an alarm clock? Everything is an automation. So this will be slowly moving towards this evolution, and we'll slowly see like, okay, these are all part of my life. Okay, so coming to the end of the presentation, I'm just going to explain something in my department, like the industry what I am working, the clinical research. So in the RPA clinical research, what we have been doing is like the clinical research is something very relevant today. You see like clinical research is something which particular drug is being discovered, and research has been done, and this been tested in the patients, and the outputs have been recorded in a document, and this will be released as a drug to the human. And this flow roughly takes 10 to 14 years. Right now, in the midst of waiting for a COVID vaccine, we think it would happen in a couple of days or months. From my working experience in a clinical research, it would take a year to get a vaccine in our hands, even if it is the fastest of the fastest, I'm saying. So how this industry wants to automate everything that's being happening over here. For an example, let's assume there is something called clinical trial. A patient's being tested with a particular drug within him. So you see like in my organization, they test a particular drug in lakhs of patients. Understand, lakhs of patients. The patient may be a diabetic, the patient may be a comorbid, that a patient may be a hypertensive. So the different patient, the patient's ethnic, the patient's region, the patient's tropic region, and he's from this country, that country, he's maybe a child, he may be a old people. That's been tested across the different places, and all this data is being fetched into a simple database, and this database process the results, and that's how the results been evaluated. You see, this is a wide range of data, and we have a big data hub where we are working in this big data hub with the different data warehousing tools. Here we need a RPA tool. Here we need a RPA tool. We give the doctors a tablet. This tablets immediately sends the data to the database. It doesn't wait for any other signature or another data entry operation who will be typing the data what that doctor writes in a paper. You see about the case report form doctor writes under the patient's report. That's not being done here. So we are giving tablets to the doctor where the doctor directly enters the CRF forms. Like that everywhere, even a scan machine like a CT scan machine, a CT scan machine or MRT scan machine, the output is directly sent to a database. Like that, everything, even as simple injection, and the output of the injection is being fed into a database. Like that, in the clinical research, we need live data. We need a data at the quickest ever possible. So this robots, like this RPA robots, is being used everywhere to fetch the data, to get into this big data warehouse, to get the results faster and quicker. So these are the places where we have implemented the RPA in our industry so far, like in the clinical operations, like a data freezing or something like that. So data freezing is something like the data collected from the patients being collected in a big size of data, and this being data freezed. Like there are so many government sites which we enter the data. Let's example, like a COVID test is being taken in a private hospital. This private data is being entered in the government side, saying like this person is tested for the COVID and he is tested negative. So like that, this particular data entry is being performed by a robo in our company. And the HR resourcing and communication, like if you are being recruited in our company, a robo will send an email, an offer letter, and other stuffs that you need to join our company, and other communications. And even the training has been like, if you are being added to our organization, you will automatically receive the training that you need to complete in the e-learn part from a robo. And within the IT, In IT, we are performing all the access management stuff, task through the robots, like adding the user, deleting the users. Earlier, it was a human task, like human would sit and set the password, send the password. These are tough right now in being automated by the robots. And the reporting task, the report generation, everything is being taken care by the robots now. And the labs, being a clinical research, we have labs across the globes. In Israel, China, France, we have the labs. So in these labs, there are varieties of equipments and laboratory instruments being used. From these laboratory instruments, we are using even we are using cognitive robots to get the information from the patients. Like we have a cognitive robo called Pepper that's available in Ireland office. This we are using this for auditing purpose. During auditing, for an example, a third party auditor comes into the organization and asks the robo, how many employees works in your company? The robo immediately says 25,000 employees. You need not to sit and search for the data in your computer. So this type of robots is being used in our company. And the imaging is like the scans, these x-rays, the images. By providing the images to the robo automatically finds lesions. For an example, if I'm sending my x-ray to the robo, if I'm a fractured person, robo can identify an area and observe this person is fractured. See the amount of automation that we have traveled so far, from so much of doctors and the technical assistants to no one, just robots assessing everything. But remember, human is needed everywhere. Human is needed everywhere to manage everything. And in the finance department, the payroll, banking, and all other stuff is taken in the finance. For an example, let's assume I am for an example, if I am purchasing every month for something in the finance, if I am uploading an invoice, this invoice is get automatically scanned, and the areas of the stuff are automatically scanned through the invoice, and the payment is automatically requested to the payment manager to the robots. These type of capital expenditures, operational expenditures, and other expenditures are automated by these robots. So when I say robots, these are no more physical things. These are like a virtual user sitting within your computer, performing the automated operations that you have programmed to do that. So we have traveled so far with these automations, and much more automations, and the future is on our hand. And with this, I'm completing the maybe how much hour I took almost an hour. So that's it, guys. So you can now ask your questions in the chat box. I can answer you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful talk that you gave us today. So, participants, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand so that I'll unmute you.
So I have a question from Vishal Raj. So he was asking about people in robots in place of people. So the thing is like, yes, at some places where the people are doing some repeatable tasks, they have been replaced by the robots. Yes, their job is on question. But one important thing within the industry is like, I have to update myself. Even today, I cannot sit myself with the RPA for another 15 or 20 years. In another 3 to 4 years, I have to learn a new tool or a new technology. I have learned in .NET technology, but the .NET, I don't think my .NET knowledge is much relevant as of now. So I am now sticking to the RPA. In another 3 to 4 years, I have to jump to another technology where I can have another thing. This is a completely adaptable thing, and we need to adapt to the newer things coming, like just updating our mobile phone like a television or something. We have to update ourselves in need to stay alive in this industry. So um, Sumaya have asked about the tools that we are using in the RPA. So I have showed you three important tools. Right now, I would say like UiPath is one important tool that's been widely used in this the RPA industry, and then Blue Prism, it's another tool which is also being used, and then Automation Anywhere. So these three are the top three tools I would say, you know, we are using to develop the robotic process automations. So these tools need a, you know, certification and programming knowledge, where you have to develop programs, and with the programs only you will be able to automate this stuff.
If you have any other questions, please post it in the chat box. And the feedback link has also been shared with you. Any more questions? Thank you, Mr. Arvind, for your excellent feedback. So if there are no more questions, please fill up the feedback form. I extend my thanks and gratitude to Mr. Balaji for accepting to do this webinar with us. Thank you, sir. It was really insightful, and for me, basically, I had like no clue about this, but you've given us a wide range of understanding on this topic. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation. I also extend thanks to all the participants, the faculties, and our department HOD as well for giving us this opportunity. Thanks again. If there are any issues, please reach back to us.
Thank you, everyone.
Please fill it now. It has been changed now. The issue with the feedback form has been cleared. Kindly fill it again. Thank you.